So, my dear people, today I would like to talk about heaven and hell. Unfortunately, today we are living in a world where people says that everything is just imaginary, that people created God so they stay away from bad, and that God doesn't actually exist. Is that true? Well, let's see what does Bible says about that. If you read Gospels, in all four Gospels, Jesus praying to his Father who is in heaven. What more, when Jesus was baptized, there was a voice that coming up from the heaven and says, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." Also, when he was transfigurated, the apostles who been with him, James, John, and Peter, they heard a voice saying words, but they couldn't see anybody. So, is the truth what people today in these modern times saying that God doesn't exist? No, because in the Gospels, in the Bible, there is a proof that he exists. If we go to beginning in Genesis, where where God created heaven, earth, animals, nature, human being. Why I said human being? Because first it started with Adam, and then from him, God created Eve. So it became to be two, isn't it? But in the beginning was one. So in the Bible, in many parts in the Bible, you're gonna find that God really exists. He was talking with Abraham, he was talking with Moses, he was talking with the prophets when he put the prophets out to help Nineveh, for example, and others. He gave his spirit to talk through them. So it means God exists. So today, when we listen that kind of things about God, people says there is no hell. That hell is just imaginary place, so people stay away from doing bad, but always turning to do good. Is that truth? Well, let's see what does the Bible says. Jesus said multiple times in the Gospels that on the end of the world will be separation, the sheep from the goats. Sheep will go right, goats will go left. There will be darkness and grinding of the teeth. Also parables, when Jesus was talking about in parables to people. Also the same thing. He knew to warn people about hell. So when we hear today what people talk about heaven and hell, that everything is just imaginary places, it's not. Jesus warning each one of us that hell is real place, where you're not gonna see light, where you're not gonna be in mercy, but you're gonna weeping, crying. You're gonna suffer, because it says even in one place with rich man and Lazarus, when Lazarus been taken from this earth, and the rich man who been buried, and what the rich man says to Abraham when he saw Lazarus in Abraham's lap, he says, send Lazarus that he just put a finger, the tip of the finger into this water because I'm suffering so much. So imagine how does it look like. It's suffering. Why? Is because we are away from God. That's hell. It's a cursed place. When you're hearing Muslims, what Muslims talking, it says in their book that each one of them, of Muslims, will go to hell, and then from hell they will be taken out if they find a mercy. The truth is, when you've been put to hell, it means not you, but generally somebody who was put to hell, he will never go out from hell again. Never again. He's gonna stick there for the rest of the eternity. So people, when they doing things here on this earth, they're forgetting the reality. Unfortunately, many people forgetting the reality, and the reality is eternity that is after this life. So what we do now is gonna have influence later. Yes, truth is that we can't be safe by ourselves. Whatever we do, we can't save ourselves. That's why Jesus came, and that's why he gave his life to save us all from the hell. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to do anything else. Oh, he died, now I'm clear, now I can do whatever I want, that's it. I will be still saved. No. No. That's not how it goes. You also need to participate. Leave your old man, it means your old self, sinful self, away. Put Christ onto yourself. It means new man. Don't sin. Stop sinning. It's hard for us, and God knows that it's impossible for us not to sin. It's impossible for us. But that's why we need to strive to sin less. As much as possible to sin less, so better. Of course, we are human beings, we are limited, we are powerless. You said many times, so I'm not gonna do that again. And then, next situation, you fell in the same thing. Why? Because we are sinful. We are not perfect. But don't bother yourself with that. Don't beat yourself with that. There's always God's mercy. But you have to go to him and say, seriously to say, I'm sorry. And really feel that he's gonna forgive you and give you another chance. That's why confession exists, where we meet his mercy, his love. So, when we hear about heaven and hell, those are real places. Real places. It's hidden to our eyes. But there is hope, a faith to what Jesus said is going to happen when we die, when we finish our life here one day. What is heaven? Heaven is a place with God, a place of love, of blessings, of light, where God exists. And doesn't matter where that is. It says it's in a heaven. Doesn't matter. Even if it's somewhere else in our hearts. Where God is, there is heaven. That's important to think and to know. So we need to strive to be in God's presence, in His mercy. How are we going to be in His mercy? During the sacrament of reconciliation, confession. That's why I'm always inviting people to go as much as possible. If you can go every week, go every week. Some people will say, what am I going to say every week? In one day we make a lot of sins. What more in 1 week? As I said, we are sinful persons. We are human beings that are very, very easy to fall down. That's why God's mercy, we meet it in confession. So the difference between heaven and hell is real. Those places really exist. And the huge difference is between them. Heaven, where everything is good, love, compassion. Even Jesus said in the Bible that there will be no more pains, no sufferings, no tears. All the pains will vanish in heaven. But in hell, what more will be added? So that's a big thing that people should have on their mind 24/7 and think for a future, not only about this life here. Okay, I need to do this and this, and tomorrow I will need to do this and this. All right, yeah, of course, it's good to have plans. But also Jesus said, why worry for tomorrow? Leave it when it comes tomorrow, because God knows what you need already ahead. But what we should think is about life after this life. If we're not thinking about that life, about eternity, we're gonna do here many bad things. And then when the real time comes, it means eternity, and we're facing judgment, where are we gonna go? That's really scary. Especially if we weren't the one on Christ's side. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. That no escape anymore. No escape. You're finishing. For the rest of eternity, screaming and in agony, in pain, in sufferings. So, my dear people, Christians, non-Christians, whoever, turn to God. Go to confession, because we don't know the time nor day when we're gonna be called to go back home, to face God and His judgment. Go to confession. Honestly, humbly say everything what you did, and honestly, humbly ask Him for His forgiveness. Meet His mercy and stay in His mercy. God bless you all.